Hello everyone, Mr. Price here with a continuation of our read aloud. We're continuing Because of Mr. Terupt by Rob Boyer. In our last reading, we learned that Mr. Terupt was going to be scheduled for brain surgery. He's needing this because the snowball impacted him so severely. But the reason that it hurt him so severely is because he used to wrestle when he was younger and had several concussions, and that weakened parts of his brain, making him susceptible to the throwing of the snowball. We also learn that Peter visited Mr. Terupt in the hospital and also found that information out. Well, most of that information. He found out that Mr. Terupt was going to have brain surgery, but did not know that these concussions from earlier in his life were the main reason he was hurt so badly by the snowball incident. We then had an exchange with Danielle and Anna that didn't go as well as Anna had probably hoped. She came home and found that Danielle's brother Charlie and her mother were having coffee together and chatting, and she liked that and speculated to Danielle that, maybe the two of them, meaning Charlie and Terry, Anna's mom, could end up together, and that would make Anna and Danielle sisters. But Danielle quickly shot her down and was blunt and told her her family does not approve of Anna or her mom, and that would never happen. Kind of a harsh thing for Anna to hear. I don't think that Danielle meant to be mean in saying it, but I think it hurt Anna nonetheless. Continuing from there, we have a chapter from Jessica. Act 10, Scene 2. I discovered another reason for Mr. Terupt's predicament the day Anna and Danielle and I were on the swings. A reason bigger than simply getting Danielle over to Anna's house. That was only a start. Just like Mr. Terupt had helped Lexi reunite with Anna, Danielle, and me, I had to wonder if maybe Mr. Terupt's accident was going to help Danielle's family accept Anna and her mother. I hope so. Jeffrey. Boring day after boring day puttered by. Life was back to normal, where everything sucked. We all thought about the same thing but never talked about it. Not everybody together. Little groups whispered here and there, but that was it. I didn't participate. Too many bad, scary memories. Then, something happened to break the silence. Jessica. Act 10, Scene 3. Enter Miss Kelsey. I came up here today to share some news with all of you, she said, a smile on her face. How could she smile at us like that? Didn't she know? James is going to be leaving school. More sad news, I thought. Great. This is wonderful for James. He's been doing so well in school, he now has a chance to join a classroom like yours in the town where he lives. We stayed quiet. I knew he was supposed to be happy, or I knew I was supposed to be happy for James, but I didn't feel excited about anything right now. I think everyone felt the same way. Miss Kelsey started to look puzzled. She didn't understand our silence, but Mrs. Williams gave her an encouraging nod. The collaborative classroom would like to invite all of you to a surprise going-away party for James, Miss Kelsey went on. You've invited us to so much and done so much for us that we decided it was our turn to invite you to something. Plus, James loves you. You guys really made the difference. You're the reason he's improved and gets to move on. We made the difference. I felt good for a second, but then I thought about how none of this would have happened if it weren't for Mr. Terupt. I couldn't feel happy about anything. Jeffrey. Miss Kelsey brought us good news, and it fired me up. James is leaving, she said. How was that supposed to be good news? Everybody I ended up liking, I ended up losing. Why did I even bother trying? Luke. We made our way down to the collaborative classroom. It was James's surprise going away party. I wanted to be happy for him, but it was so difficult. And he's written out a math equation. Terrible slash worrisome news, and then in parentheses, Mr. Terupt, plus happy party in parentheses, James, and then it has a does not equal sign, happy Luke. Invasive species are organisms that are introduced into a new environment. Since they have no natural predators, they thrive. They suck up all the resources, leaving nothing for the organisms that were there first. The native species suffer and die. Going down to the collaborative classroom, I was afraid that our whole class would act as the invasive species, sucking up all the happiness with our sour attitudes. Lucky for us, the antidote was present at the party. The lights clicked on. Surprise! We yelled when James walked in. His face beamed. I automatically smiled too. And then it happened. James walked over to Peter and gave him a hug that shattered his shield. Everybody stopped and watched. This was the first time any of us had really looked at Peter since the accident. We had each made the choice to make him invisible, but now we saw him. James finally let go and stepped back. He looked into Peter's eyes. Peter, not your fault. Not your fault. James' voice rose. Peter, now he yelled, not your fault. Accident. Accident. The room was dead quiet, holding its breath. Peter began crying, softly at first, but then he lost it. His entire body shook with each sob. I couldn't be a silent onlooker any longer. I stepped forward. James is right, Peter, I said. It's not all your fault. I told everyone about Mr. Terupt's early concussions and the bleeding and the looming surgery. Besides, I said, Peter threw the snowball because of me. I cried now too. Accepting responsibility can make you do that, I guess. I hugged Peter right there on the spot. I walked over and hugged my Elmer's sneakers nemesis. Then our crying classmates hugged us. Thank you, James. And now a chapter from Alexia. Like, isn't it weird that Peter called them the R word way back when Teach first told us that we were going to work with them? And then it was like one of them that helped save Peter? We're lucky some people are so full of goodness. Like Jessica and Anna and Danielle. I was mean to them, but now they're my friends again. I'm lucky. I was lonely without them. I bet Peter was lonely too, but like none of us did anything about it until James said something. Then I felt bad for Peter. I gave him a hug. He didn't deserve to be all alone. It feels good being nice. I like it better than being the old Lexi. I hope Teach gets to see how he helped me. And Jeffrey, things happen for a reason. Jessica told me that. I didn't hate Peter. Even if I wasn't smiling on the outside, he had me laughing on the inside a lot. He just liked to have fun. And the good fun went real bad on him that day in the snow. That's all. It wasn't his fault. James told us that. James had more courage, more good heart in him than any of us smart kids. I don't know if James' words alone would have been enough, but then Cool Man Luke came to the rescue. Not just Peter's rescue, but all our rescues. We needed to talk. Thanks to James and Luke, we started to. Things happen for a reason. I can't find all the reasons. Did everything we did with the collaborative classroom lead toward this moment? Is that why it all happened? Why did it have to be Peter? Why did it have to be our teacher in a coma? Was it so that I would learn that life isn't fair sometimes? I learned that a long time ago with Michael. And we're gonna end today with a chapter from Anna. Things are working out, sort of. There's been good news for James. Lexi's back to being nice, and Peter's part of our class again. But it's hard to stay positive when Mr. Terupt is about to have brain surgery. I get scared when I think about it for too long. I think about it all the time. That and my mom. Danielle's words crushed me. I didn't get mad at her, though. In a way, I felt sorry for her. I know she wants to be my friend, but her family doesn't want that to happen. It's got to be hard. This time I talked to Mom about it as soon as I got home that day. Mom, Danielle said her family disapproves of you, and that you and Charlie will never be allowed to get married. Whoa! Slow down, Anna, Mom said. First of all, Charlie and I aren't looking to get married. Second of all, I know their family disapproves of me. Excuse me, I got almost mouth. Disapproves of me. My jaw fell open. Sit down, honey. I sat at the kitchen table across from Mom. She had been looking over at the mail and drinking a cup of coffee, cream and sugar, when I burst in on her. Mom explained, Charlie and I went to school together. When I ended up pregnant with you, he didn't treat me kindly, just like everyone else. In fact, one day he got me so upset, I kicked his truck. I put that dent in his door. I could see my mom reliving those painful memories as she spoke. He actually apologized to me for how he behaved back then. But why would Charlie say sorry, or say he's sorry if his family disapproves of you? I asked. Danielle's parents and grandparents are pretty old-fashioned and religious, just like my parents, who couldn't find a way to be accepting of me in my situation all those years ago. They still can't. For a second I wondered about my mother's mom and dad. I've never met them. Were they really that unforgiving? Were Danielle's? I think Charlie just went along with everyone else when we were teenagers, but now he's ready to think for himself. It's always good to make up your own mind, Mom said. So I have Mr. Terupt to thank. If it weren't for his accident, Danielle might never have come over just like she said. Thanks, Mr. Terupt. But you didn't need to go and get hurt this bad so that I could be friends with Danielle. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful, but I'd really like you back now. You're going to get better. Be positive. You taught me that. Maybe Danielle and Charlie will be able to change their family's opinion of us, I said. I'm going to be positive. Mr. Terupt would want that. And that's where we're going to stop for the day, guys. I hope you enjoyed the chapters. Please remember to complete your exit ticket. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.